Hi everybody, Eleanor here from Nesta Invest, and welcome back to another coffee break session where it's my chance to sit down with some amazing people that we know and work with here at Nesta Invest, sit down and get them to share some of their knowledge and thoughts to help inspire you on your property journey. So today I'm sitting down with an OG of the property industry, and he's not just an expert, he has many years of experience, but also many years of success with his clients, but he's actually just a general all-round great guy to work with and. So I'm really excited to sit down with him today. You may have heard me mention him in some of my Friday site update videos. I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Glenn Baker from the team at Bayleys One Tree Hill. Hi Glenn, hello, thank you for coming today.
Yeah, good morning, Ellie. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your hectic schedule to have a coffee with me. You're a hard man to pin down, but we finally did it. We often get a lot of people, asking us questions, particularly first-time buyers. So it's actually really timely to have you here today to be able to answer some questions based on your experience and your perspective as a real estate agent. So really grateful to have you here with me this morning.
Cheers. No, likewise. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thank you. So my first question is, coming out of lockdown, a lot of people are making predictions around the property market, which might scare people a little bit. But in general, do you think there's ever a good or bad time to buy your first home or buy property?
Well, I think it's always that, it is always the dilemma that first home buyers face. But I think getting on the property ladder is absolutely key. At some stage you've got to get on to the property ladder. I think the other thing that you've got to realise too, that with first home buyers, commonly those properties are entry level properties. And if you look at that, the value of those properties, they are the most stable in the market. So even if the market slows down a bit, they hold on well. I mean, obviously, they are the quickest to turn over. When you're selling, they always turn over as well quickly. So, but the passage of time will always benefit you anyway. So the sooner you get on, really, the better.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of people. Jazz, he will say in hindsight, I wish I bought earlier, I wish I bought more at the time. So I think sometimes you do have to look at that long-term picture as well. And like you said, you're trying to get in, it's entry level, just get into the ladder and then, you can work your way or go bigger from there.
Yep, and I think if I look back on my life, the only regrets in terms of what I've had is the ones I've sold.
Yeah. How old were you when you got into property? How old were you when you first bought your first home?
Well, it was quite a while ago. I was 20, which was like 5 years ago. But in those days, it was quite different, because we just used every penny to buy a house, and then we'd live on second-hand couches and use hand-me-down appliances. So you don't have Kmarts and everything to go visit.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like you said, the earlier the better. But I think not being scared about getting into it is probably the key. Just getting started.
I think I had my first house by the time I was 20, and then I probably had my second house by the time I was 25. And
wow.
then I had another couple by 26, 27 sort of thing,
Yeah. Well, that's if you're watching and you're ready to get into property, that's a great example from Glenn. In terms of buying your first property, you would have noticed open homes are definitely picking up again. And I have friends now that were looking that are now getting back into open homes and spending all day Saturday, all day Sunday looking at houses. Can you give them some advice? If you are going to an open home, what is maybe one or two things you should look out for when you're actually visiting the open home?
Well, I think it's like all property. There's probably some fairly general rules around that, regardless of being your first home. Location and aspect are right up there. Yeah. And perhaps the third one is construction and how it's, if it needs repairs or how it's presented or being maintained. But if you think of first your location aspect, you can't change those if you buy the property. If it needs a bit of a touch up here and there, or if it's got a bit of DIY work around the place, or you have to get someone in to fix it when you can afford it, you can change that in time. But it's your, I think location aspect are key.
Yeah, that's definitely one to look out for. And sometimes it might not be till you actually get there that you notice some other things, but that's a really good list to think about when you're actually walking into that open home.
Yeah.
What do you find a house? So you found the house and you think, this is the one for me. This is, I think, when a lot of people get a bit confused or they get a bit nervous. What do you actually say to the agent, or what are some key questions then to ask the agent to get that ball rolling? It sounds like a simple question, but I've actually been asked this. What do we need to ask the agent when we want to buy a house? Yeah, what do you think? Or what have you been asked?
Good question. I guess the question a lot of people ask is what the CV is, but I would say that's probably the last question to ask. I mean, look, it's worth knowing, but to be honest, they're so misleading. I think you need to actually ask for other similar sales in the area, and most agents will provide those. And because that is the real comparison to use, is what else is sold. Forget about CV, because I can see CVs that are low, that are high, and I just find them really quite misleading for particularly first-time buyers, you know. And I think if you can get that list of other sales, drive around those and actually do a visual take on them. That's all a valuer does when they go and look at a property. Not all, but I mean, a valuer will do that as well as measure up and do other things. But they take into consideration other sales as well. And from your own benefit as a buyer, I think look at those other sales and see how long they've been on the market, the days on market, because that gives you an idea of the saleability or the turnover of that type of property. So I think that's pretty, I think finding, getting other sales is probably way more important than a CV. I think the other thing too, it's quite beneficial, I think, is finding out what the property could rent for is quite handy, because that can actually help give you a bit of an idea what an investor might pay for it. So if you're going into an auction or something like that, you can probably get a lineup of what an investor might bid to. So it means that you're not getting there and getting outbid by an investor because it was going to rent for a price that they'd outbid you. And I think the most reliable source of that is actually just going on to Googling the bond centre, because all that's public information, and you can go in and there's a particular page there. You click on it and you put your suburb in, and it gives you the high and low rents achieved for the previous months, and you can go back and look at those rents and how they've tracked and that sort of thing, and you can say, okay, well, this house is in the middle, or this is above, or whatever, and look at the bond centre rents. That's really quite a good source of information.
Wow, that's really good. And you know, I didn't even know that website that existed too. So I'm learning as well. And I think that's a good angle to look at, you know, not just the value, but yeah, like you said, the rental. So just, you know, competing with who else might be buying. And I suppose also having that rental income idea might help you if maybe in the future you might actually look to rent it out, or you're going to get a few more flatmates and or you want to see how you can obviously afford to look after the mortgage.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I mean, even if you're out looking, you might come across a property that's sold and then you see it up for rent. So you can actually engage what it's for, homes.co or something like that, or One Roof, and see what it's sold for, and then see what it's being rented for. Then you get an idea of the percentage return that the investors are looking at, you know?
Oh, it's all this inside info, guys. You're learning from the pro here. I love it. That's really cool, Glenn. So, Glenn, thank you so much for taking the time. I've actually really enjoyed all the insights and that inside knowledge that you've given me, and I think a lot of people are going to appreciate that, especially for the people out there that are now looking at open homes and now looking into buying their first home, which is an exciting but sometimes scary step to take. So I really appreciate your time. Anyone watching, if you have any questions for Glenn, feel free to let me know so I can pass these on to Glenn. Maybe we can do another session with him to answer those. Or you can obviously touch base directly with the team at Bayleys One Tree Hill. I will pop some details down below of how to contact them too. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you, Glenn. And we'll see you all again next time. Bye.